We're constantly pressured to do more, to feel less, to take care of it all, and to not fail. We have glorified perfectionism, and we have all fallen victims of having unrealistic expectations for ourselves and others, living life in a constant train of disappointment and seeking control. I am passionate about helping women decrease their mental drama, increase their self-awareness by implementing boundaries, mindfulness, and powerful mindset tools so that they can step into the most confident version of themselves as mothers, as wives, as professionals. I deeply believe that women fear success more than they do failure. And I am on a mission to help turn this around, one episode at a time. I am your host, Olga Lacroix, former therapist, life coach, mother, wife, and this is the Journey to Happy podcast. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 126 of the Journey to Happy podcast. And today we're going to be talking about how does being emotional does not equal you are weak. Okay. I have lost count of the amount of times my clients are telling me they are afraid of showing emotion because they don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen as not strong, or as somebody said yesterday to me during a coaching call, she does not want her friends and family to see her no longer as the rock. So I want to break this into a few aspects. The first one is our perception of emotional, what we view being emotional as. Second of all, I want to break it down into what we think people need from us. And lastly, our own judgment and misunderstanding of what a rock or a strong woman is. Okay, so I wanted to begin by stating that the truth is the strongest people are also the happiest people because they have the ability to show emotion, be vulnerable, regardless of the outcome, so that they have decided that it is in their best interest and therefore in the best interest of everyone involved to always be showing how they feel genuinely, not how they think others need them to feel, not how their perceived version of a strong person should show their feelings. And that allows them the freedom to not only be genuinely authentic, but also happier and healthier in their minds. They can be who they are and they can allow all emotions to exist. If you missed my episode on how to not add judgment to your emotions, please go back to that one. It was a great episode and it would really just make so much more sense. This episode will make so much more sense once you listen to that one and you have applied some of those steps to not judge your own emotions, because just as a summary, we have decided that all emotions are neutral. There is no such a thing as good or bad, and therefore the judgment is not necessary. Now, as women, we have always been labeled as emotional and crazy and weak. Somehow being emotional has translated into the world as being weak. We see somebody crying and our instant reaction is to stop that person from crying. How can we make them feel better? And maybe it started from a great place of caring and not wanting others to suffer. When I used to teach groups in person, that was one of my group rules. Nobody is allowed to console anybody when they're crying. We grow tolerance to see others cry and still hold space for them without fixing or changing that emotion because it's neutral, remember? And now that I am a mom, I am so aware, and I'm teaching my husband to not correct my son when he's crying. Not because I believe his boy can cry, but because I want to teach my son to have neutrality in his emotions. I wouldn't stop him from laughing when he's happy. Why would I stop him from crying when he's sad or frustrated or tired? Eventually, he'll learn to use words that describe his feelings. Right now, he cries, and I don't want to give him the messaging that that's an emotion to avoid. It begins that early for most of us, that our parents do not want to see us sad, and therefore they really have zero tolerance for us being sad. So I want you to think about that for a second. How is your relationship right now with your emotions? What are your views currently about emotional people or you showing emotion? Some women have grown to want to be strong. Like we were not born strong. We're the strong gender, ladies. Come on. We give birth to children. We have crazy amounts of pain tolerance. We are by far, and without a doubt, I say this about every woman, strong. The only women who aren't strong are the ones that haven't yet realized their strength. In other words, every single woman is strong. It's just a lack of awareness of their strength. So that's why I wanted to separate this in three segments. The first one is our own understanding of strength and weakness. Why is it that we judge emotions and being emotional? And really, what we mean by being emotional is sad. That's the emotion that we're like, oh, somebody was being emotional. She was crying. She was sad. She was upset, visibly upset. We equal that to weakness. Accept it. Follow me along. Have you ever judged anybody in your life who was crying and upset as weak? Was that your first thought? Like, oh my God, this woman is so weak. Look at her crying. Look at her being upset. How weak can she be? No, we wouldn't judge them that way. We wouldn't judge anybody other than ourselves as weak when they're showing an emotion. So why is it that we view our own emotions as a sign of weakness? How strong is the person who cannot authentically show to the world how they're really, truly feeling? To me, that's actual weakness. To not be able to face the outside world with what's inside our inner world. To feel that we need to hide emotions is actual weakness. But to own our emotions, to tell the planet, hey, by the way, I'm sad today, I'm angry, that, my friends, is power. That is authenticity. That is great work. That is strength. And so I recently asked one of my coaching clients, her goal was, and I quote, to learn to read people better, to know who she could be vulnerable with. Who can she show emotion? If I was to change the word learn to read people better, I would have changed it to control. How can I control how people respond to my emotions? Well, the answer is never. You can never control how people respond to you having emotions. And you showing emotions cannot be dependent on people being able to handle you and your emotions. The whole point here is to decide one day that you're going to be so authentic that you're not going to care about whether or not people can tolerate you with emotions, but that you're going to have the emotion. So going back to a child who's crying, how amazing it would be that this child says, whether my parents can tolerate me crying or not, I'm going to cry out my emotion, which in fact is what they do. Over time, we teach them to not do it because we can't tolerate seeing them crying. We get a broken heart when we see our children crying and we desperately try to appease them instead of holding space and say, cry away. Let it out. Let it in. Whatever works for you. So I will, as a first step, be inviting you to analyze for yourself what your current perception is of being sensitive. What are your own judgments of you showing your emotions when they happen to whomever is there with you? Now, I'm not saying be completely unprofessional and like when you're feeling angry, call your boss a name. That's not it. But it is totally human and okay to say, right at this moment, I'm really upset about this. I need a moment. Right at this moment, this made me really emotional. I used to have a job as a child protection worker. And every time I had to make a really hard decision where a child was going to be separated from their family, I immediately get a migraine, like a massive headache where I couldn't work the rest of the day. I couldn't drive, like I couldn't see. It was massive headaches. And I've learned to understand that for me, that was such an emotional thing to do, that my body kind of wanted to disconnect. And I remember telling my supervisor at the time, I feel the emotion is really difficult for me to do this. I do it because it's in the child's best interest, but it is a highly emotional day for me. And I remember her feedback was, perhaps this isn't the job for you. Maybe you're too sensitive for this job. Hindsight, she was right. Yes, that's not the job for me, but it's not because I'm too sensitive. It's because it wasn't in alignment with who I am and what I believe. And I wasn't able to help people the way I thought I could. She was mistaken in thinking that I was too emotional. Why? Because her own discomfort, right? Like she's been doing this for years. She no longer felt what I felt when those decisions were being made. So people have a layer of discomfort with emotions, which is okay. We have to understand it. My husband and my sister, for example, are two people I know for a fact cannot stand seeing me sad. They are allergic to my sadness. I am their happy sunshine and they want to keep me that way. And because I am an emotional human and I am happy being vulnerable and showing my emotion at all times, them being the closest people to me, they get to see me on my sad moments, fully sad, exactly as I am. And both of them just try to, like, if they could just dance on top of their head, on their nose, just bring me a show with lights, they would, just to stop me from being sad because they cannot tolerate it. I know in my heart it is not that they feel I'm weak in that moment, is that they feel awkward with their person being sad and they feel that they need to fix that. And I don't let them fix it. I actually tell them, it's okay for me to be sad. Let me be sad. I'm just making you a part of it. I just need to hold space. I often have to tell my husband, this feeling does not need to be fixed. It just needs to be felt. And you're right here with me. Can you just accompany me while I feel this feeling? One of my favorite parenting gurus, I recently read a quote from her, and she was saying, children do not need to be neglected or disciplined when they're having a tantrum. They need space. So you holding space in your presence. They need your presence and your company. And I'm like, that's exactly what I tell grown-ups when they're having a tantrum. You don't need it to be fixed. You don't need advice. It's the worst time, by the way, to give anybody advice when they're telling you they're emotional. Do not. Your feedback of how they can get it better, not needed at that moment. All you need is somebody to hold space. Can you be that person for yourself? Can you have the tolerance and accompany yourself while you're having emotions that bring suffering, that are harder to feel, that are less pleasant to feel? Okay, so first things first, creating that awareness of your judgment, of you being emotional. Okay, that's the first thing. Like, just notice your relationship with showing emotion. What do you categorize that? How do you label and judge that? And if you judge it as weak, not good, follow that a little bit more and say, where does this come from? What is it that I fear? I like asking, what is it that I fear if I show emotion? Because it's definitely a fear-based, and most of us fear rejection. So most of us fear that if we show our emotion, people are going to say, you're weak, and drop us. But then I always ask my clients, think back of the last person who showed you emotion, who showed you their heart. Did you think to yourself, what a weak person, and drop them? And if they can think of anybody, I put me as an example because I'm constantly showing them my emotions, good or bad. Yesterday, when I was coaching a group of women, I was telling them how the day before I was sad. And I block off my day to be sad because I didn't want to be sad in coaching sessions. I gave myself permission to feel sad all day. I asked my husband to pick up my son at daycare because I needed to be sad. I didn't judge it. I didn't ask for fixing. But I definitely did spend time journaling, feeling my feelings. And I know I'm privileged to be able to take the day off. I wouldn't have to, but I would still have open space. I also call my sister. I book a date with her, which is not our norm. And we walk endlessly the mall and we just sat and ate and talked and cried. Then I came home and I was a happy heart, full of gratitude to be back home, to notice my family is well, to notice I am well. That sadness was nowhere to be seen this morning, gone, or the morning after. So first things first, owning our meaning is important, our meaning of being emotional. If you walk around life thinking being emotional makes me weak, it's a sign of weakness, wrong. That's a big fat lie your brain is telling you. And you know how I know it's a lie? You wouldn't think that way of anyone else. So it's a self-judgment and it's intended there to take you out of feeling like you could avoid feelings. Impossible. Feelings come and go and we don't choose them. They come and they go. Okay. Step number 2 is like, so once you know your thoughts about being emotional, it's time to recreate them. So let's redefine strength. What is the meaning of a strong person according to you? I had this experience happen to me a few years back when I was keeping it a secret that we were having struggles conceiving. It's hard to believe now that was what I was doing, but I was. And my thinking was, I did not want anybody to feel pity for us. Yeah, I would have seen it as me not being strong and like people thinking, oh, poor me, when I didn't like that feeling. But then when I noticed what I felt about the women who were sharing publicly the story, it was never pity. It was never, oh my God, they're so weak. Look at them sharing that they're struggling. Never. The only thoughts I had about the people who were sharing their stories were admiration. My God, they're so strong. They told the world that, oh my God, they're not even pregnant and they told people that this happened, or they just got pregnant and they told people that they just got pregnant. Oh my God, they're so brave. I would follow their journey. I would anxiously wait for the next blog post because I wanted to see. I would pray and I would, like, you guys know I don't practice any faith, but I still pray because my mom taught me to pray. And I believe in the power of prayer. And I would pray for them and I would send them good, happy thoughts and pregnancy thoughts. When I noticed what my thoughts were about the people who were able to show their emotions, who were able to be authentic, who were able to be vulnerable, I quickly applied that same meaning to myself. And I told myself, if you hold so much respect and admiration for those who are being brave, and you actually think that they're actually brave and strong, why on earth are you thinking the complete opposite about yourself? Why do you think is weak, a sense of weakness, to show your audience that you have a current struggle that you haven't overcome yet? Because that was my inner thought was like, well, once I have the baby or I become pregnant, I will share it then because then I'm over it. What was in there is mental drama. Me thinking people will feel sorry for me because they will see weakness in me. What happened was the complete opposite. People show me respect, support, prayers, good vibes. I, to this day, say that Mateo, my son, came into the world because I mobilized the energy, not only within my body, within my mind, within the doctors and the clinics and everybody involved, but within the online world. Everybody, people I knew, people I didn't know, were sending us the most beautiful, encouraging messages because I decided to show the world my emotions. And it's one of the few times in which I have physically felt love and support from complete strangers. And I cannot tell you what that feeling is. Pure gratitude. I felt bigger than love itself. I felt like if I was a balloon and I like so much air was blown into this balloon and I was so big and I was flying so high. It felt that people had put so much love on my journey. It felt massive. I felt massive in the best of ways. So who got to reevaluate the thoughts about being emotional? I did. And I chose wisely. I chose one that allowed me to heal. It was absolutely healing to share my story. It was absolutely encouraging in my difficult days of loss, days of hardship, of bad news. I will have the most encouraging messages that to this date, when I think about it, if you don't hear in my voice, I become emotional. Thank God I had the thought to rethink what it meant to show my emotions in the moment of struggle. And thank God I did it, because what came my way was way better than keeping in silence and keeping a strong front. And I sent me an email this summer. The title was, I had a broken heart last month, the month that I lost my last pregnancy. And I've received so many beautiful emails. People were like, yeah, that sounded real. That spoke to me. You see what happens then is that I truly connect. We truly connect to other humans when we're able to show our real human emotions genuinely. And the key here is to not show emotions so that we get something. We're not manipulating anybody. We're simply showing emotions so that we can be authentic. And that's a good feeling on its own, regardless of the outcome. And so that brings me to step 3. Whatever your thoughts are of what people need of you are probably also wrong. That's just your own judgment. Unless people strictly said to you, listen, I need you to not show me any emotion so that you can stay in my life. Whatever thought you have about what it means to them that you show emotion is wrong. My client, actually, who I coach on this subject, it was because of her that I'm doing this episode. She said, well, my thought is that it would imply a change. And change is not necessarily bad. I'm exactly quoting her. But what if they stop seeing me as the rock and then they leave me? You hear the fear. I'm going to be rejected if I show them that I too feel sad, that I too feel disappointed, that I too feel all the feelings that every human feels. First of all, who in this world thinks that there is a person that does not feel sad ever? Like, is that even realistic? But it's funny because I had her laughing because she's like, yes, a crazy way of thinking. But somehow when we don't stop to reflect, we let the crazy thoughts be real. Like they feel real. Yes, definitely. They wouldn't expect me to be sad. Obviously, it's human. We don't love seeing people who we love not having fun, not having a good time in life. But that does not mean that we do not get to be who we are. And that doesn't mean that they cannot also at times serve us as our rock. Even rocks need a rock to stand on. I was telling somebody today, the girl doing my nails, my manicure, and I'm just there in the moment, listening to music, drinking coffee. And so this woman was asking me what I did for work. And I was telling her that I was a life coach. And somewhere in the conversation, I said that I need coaching too. And so she's like, yeah, of course, doctors need doctors. And I'm like, exactly. I wouldn't trust a coach who's not being coached because how much do you believe in coaching if you don't see the need to invest in your own coaching, right? That's just my thought. But that's to say that every rock needs a rock. We all need somebody to turn to. We all need somebody to show us our blind spots. For sure, if any of my siblings ever struggle or anybody in their family struggle, I know I'm going to be, if not the first, the second phone call after they call my mom. Why? It comes with ease. Yes, it comes with my profession. I help. That's it. I do it. And I do a good job and I don't stress about it and I love it. And everybody knows. So, of course, I think it's easy for me to fall into that role of the helper. I want to be in that role. However, I also call them to tell them I, the rock, needs them to be my rock. And you know what happens? They love it. It's like a treat when they get to be the ones who encourage me. When my sister gets to be the one who's like, you got this. And then I smile because of the words she said to me. She feels pretty amazing. It's a change of roles and she likes it. When my husband gets to say something to me that I said like, wow, that was really wise. That's a change of roles. I'm the one with the wise phrases. And honestly, I adore when he can play that role. It's just so essential for me. And him, he needs to feel that he can also be that for me, right? So if you feel that you're the rock, that you're the helper, let others play that role for you. It will be good for you and them. And with those three phases, I want to leave you to the thought. I want you to open your mind to change whatever mindset you currently have about being emotional equaling weakness. Being emotional equals strength, real strength, my friends. It takes courage to say, I'm having a shitty day. First of all, because by saying that, you now hear yourself and you have to gain responsibility of doing something about it if you've done mindset work. Most people would just know that they're having a shitty day and do nothing about it. And everybody's going to have a shitty day with them. I hope you're not one of them. I hope that you're the kind of person who notices it, recognizes it, and does something about it. If you're not one of those people, but you want to become one of those people, let me help you. I can get you there. I will teach you how to become aware of your thoughts that help you, that don't help you, how to reset the mind, and how to create new thoughts that are far more helpful to you and to everybody around you. My program, Reset the Mindset, is a 12-week program, and we go through different pillars that allow you the tools and the awareness to make positive, powerful changes to the way you look at yourself, your emotions, your life. Talk to you guys soon. And yeah, see you shortly. Interested in giving life coaching a try? Here's your opportunity to do so in a short period of time. My Reset Your Mindset program is starting in January of 2022. This is an intimate group coaching program that combines live coaching calls and video training. You receive weekly lessons through video and you receive weekly support through Zoom calls with me. This time around, I'm also gifting participants with lifetime access to Detox the Mind online course, a course that emphasizes on helping you create new neurological connections so that that you have a happier mind and healthier habits. You can grab your spot by going into the show notes and signing up. We meet for 12 consecutive weeks on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this program focuses on 3 main points: creating awareness, setting up boundaries, increasing your confidence. The Reset Your Mindset formula helps you with making decisions with ease, set clear boundaries without drama or guilt, stopping the hamster wheel that keeps you in overthinking mode, switching the mean inner voice for one of confidence and compassion. You will let go of unattainable expectations and you will be at ease with who you are. Get ready to say goodbye to a constant list of comparisons, to all of the thinking that leads to worry and overwhelm. You will begin to prioritize yourself and you will feel finally connected to you and to others at a very deep level. 12 coaching calls once a week, 12 weeks, 12 mindset videos, plus the bonus of a lifetime access to bestseller course, Detox the Mind. If this calls your name, if you have been curious about working with me, if you want to say goodbye to your limiting beliefs, understand their root cause and change them for once and for all so that you can step into that better version of you, anxious-free, confident, clear on what you want and who you are, I invite you to participate. There are only 12 spots available. First come, first served. See you inside.